Greetings and salutations from Reef Rod Aquatics. In between appointments here, so I have some time to do a video and answer one question. I did develop a question with my post, I think it was over Facebook. Somebody was talking about balance. How do you achieve balance in your aquarium? And I think it's a great question. It sort of ties into green water, and it sort of definitely ties into snails. If you haven't seen that video, go take a look at that. But how do we achieve balance in an aquarium? If you have plants and you have snails, those are very good and useful tools to help you achieve balance in an aquarium. And when we talk about balance in an aquarium, we're not necessarily talking about chemistry. Okay, I'm perfectly honest with you. I don't test like I should. In my reef tanks, yes, I test. Because there's things there that just go haywire that you may not be seeing for a minute. I'm actually suffering through one of those things right now with some dinoflagellates, so I'm having fun with that. But in freshwater, I don't even bother really testing my water at all. I basically do regular maintenance, which keeps all my carbonated hardness and stuff like that in check. But I look at my plants, I look at algae, and I look at snails. So those are important tells in an aquarium whether or not it's balanced. If you have a lot of algae and you have a lot of snails and your plant growth is through the roof, and you're doing maintenance every 4 weeks, you're not in balance. Something's out of whack. It could be your feeding, it could be your husbandry or your management. The frequency of water changes in the system could lead to all of those issues. Now, how do you get those things under control? 3-minute feedings on your fish. Figure out what the metabolic requirement is of said fish, and figure out whether or not you need to feed them every day or every other day, and take a dedicated 3 minutes to feeding them. The other thing too is fish food can cause an issue in and of itself. I'm technically sort of against certain flake foods. Don't get me wrong, sometimes we have fish that need the flakes. They only hit top water, so it's good. But flaked fish food can actually cause a lot of issues, because if you ever seen, take a big chunk of fish food flake and put it on a newspaper, you could read through that. So when that flake actually hits the water, before the fish even has the opportunity to eat it or consume it, half of it's already dissolved. It's gone into the water column, and it's causing our problem with our plant explosions, algae growth, and snails all over the freaking place. So, you know, be selective about your food. Make sure you're feeding the right type of food. I'm a big fan of Tetra-Color granules. They're little tiny nuggets, and it, you know, even if it doesn't fit in the fish's mouth, they will actually scrape the softened portion of that food off, and they'll consume the nutrients themselves versus it just being wasted in a water column. So that's one trick to try to get your system under control. Now, if your feeding's under control and you feed sparingly, you might want to go ahead and check out the frequency of your water changes. Are you gravel vacuuming? Gravel vacuuming where you can. If you have a planted aquarium, gravel vacuuming is going to be kind of tough. But if you don't have any plants or anything else like that, and you just got algae all over the place, try gravel siphoning your substrate with your water changes, and do 20%. Don't do any more than 20%. Also, another trick is to constantly reintroduce new bacteria to the system during those water changes. So when you're doing a 20% water change, go ahead, add a little bit of bacteria to that, because you just took 20% of their food. Add some, you know, some more of those guys back. Now, after you do your water change, 2 weeks, test your nitrates. If your nitrates are above 20 after 2 weeks of doing a water change, you need to do another water change or change your feeding. You might also be close to being overstocked. That's another thing, another hardship that makes it even difficult to try to balance the aquarium. But if after 2 weeks your nitrates are above 20, you need to do another water change, gravel siphon if you can, and continue that process and continue making those observations. And eventually what you're going to end up finding is your plant growth is not exploding, you don't have a lot of algae, and you don't have a lot of snails. So that means that that system has achieved balance. Now, there's a caveat to that. We could be doing too much maintenance on our system, which again is not balanced. You have, like, you could probably count on one hand how many snails you got in your 55-gallon tank. Your plant growth is minimum, and you have no algae. You're probably doing too much. Tone that back a little bit. If 20% every 4 weeks is too much, dial it back. If you don't have time to dial it back, where you're doing your gravel siphoning and stuff like that, feed a little more, right? Try to, with your maintenance and your management, try to achieve balance to where, okay, yeah, in a 55-gallon tank, I could probably count 10, 11 snails, see an egg sac in the back of the glass. Not a lot of algae growth, but my plants are doing good. That's a system that's achieved balance. And that's ultimately, as hobbyists, what we should be trying to achieve with our aquariums. So, if you guys, thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please place them down below. Be good. Have a great day.